Hey, welcome to season 2. This is episode 3. And today I have a guest. Her name is Ariel Britney. She is a stylist and confidence coach. And I'm very happy to share her knowledge with you. She is into astrology and she's also a manifesting generator like me, for those of you that are into human design. And I had the pleasure of working with her podcast, Dress to Manifest. So I highly suggest that once you hop off this podcast, you go and listen to hers. She just has so much important things to say about fashion and styling and how to improve your wardrobe. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for that warm welcome. It was amazing working with you, and we really just pushed that podcast so quickly together into the world. It was definitely something that had been on my mind for so long, and now it is how I love to share my ideas. So I have you to thank for being my cheerleader through that. I appreciate you, and I'm honored to be here.
Yay. And tell us a little bit about what got you thinking about starting a podcast, as I know you were sitting on it for a very long time.
Well, like you, so Christina and I have a lot in common where I also am someone who loves podcasts and being a manifesting generator as well. I have a lot of different interests and passions that fascinate me. And I just love hearing people talk about the things they love and hearing their takes on it. So naturally, something like podcasts just drew me in, like having that playing while I'm driving, while I'm doing things around the house. It just became such a part of my routine. And it also made me think about what it would be like if I had my own and how easy it could be to just speak from the heart, which is normally how I love to share ideas and connect with people. Instead of overthinking a post, I just tend to speak from my intuition, and that's really where my personal magic happens. And that's when I really realized, okay, something less curated and more kind of in the moment, like a podcast could be really where I could possibly shine. So that's really how I came into the idea of having my own podcast.
I think it's a wonderful way to share. There is some preparation, but even if you just were strolling down the street on Rodeo looking for items for your clients, and
Yeah.
you could just pop the little microphone in your phone and go into your voice memos and record something. Didn't have to think about anything else.
Yeah, exactly. It's really great for those who get those sudden divine strikes of inspiration, and you could just record it really quick or jot it down the ideas. And I tend to really like doing more of a bullet point note situation when I do my own podcast, where it's not necessarily a script, but some research and topics I have prepared for my audience, and then, speak from the heart from there.
For those in the audience that are not familiar with your podcast yet, can you tell us a little bit about what your goal is with it?
Yeah, of course. So I do speak a lot about fashion, about personal style, because I am a personal stylist and confidence coach, and as well as dressing from a place of intention and joy that makes you feel confident. And my podcast is really for the heart centered leaders, often entrepreneurs, who really want to cultivate a style that feels true to them, helps them shine in their personal brand, and really magnetizes the right people to them.
And would you say that you also style the day-to-day outfits?
Yes, definitely. There's photo shoots, yes, but day to day outfits too are so important because really the goal of the podcast is to help you dress for your dreams and embody your highest self and your best self. And that is going to, of course, include your everyday life. So, yes, I also help with dressing for your everyday.
Right, right. And is there a signature piece that you like to include in all of your clients' closet? Like, for example, maybe a pump or a coat or something they could wear all year long?
Yes. Okay. So I always love to suggest a great, like, neutral block heel. Those are really great for photo shoots, for going out, for dressing up a casual outfit. That could be open toe or closed toe, depending on your preferences. Just a timeless staple in your closet. It could be something with straps. It could be clear straps, even, but just like a nice neutral strappy shoe goes a
Mhm.
long way in your closet.
Okay. Would you be able to describe your style for our listeners so they can kind of imagine what your style is like? Because, guys, I will add a picture, a beautiful picture of her, but just so that you can know like what her style is like.
Yes. So my style, I would say, is creative, whimsical, professional, and polished, but also very intuitive. I dress according to my mood, and I very much take that dress like you're the main character type of saying, like be the main character. Um, I feel like that's kind of my style mantra is I imagine who I want to be for the day and dress according to that intuition. So yeah, I would say it's intuitive and also very playful. And sometimes I'm like, I dress like I'm a chic New Yorker on a mission if I feel like I need to get some goals done for the day. Sometimes I want to dress super whimsical and tap into that feminine, soulful side I have too. And I'll wear some really sparkly chandelier earrings with like a satin dress that feels really like mysterious and sexy and kind of like mystical feeling. And yeah, it always comes down to my mood. And I always encourage my clients to tap into that power of and where you don't have to fit any one aesthetic because we are so much more complicated than that as human beings, right? Like we have all of these nuances to ourselves and really using personal style as a way to start that self exploration, to have fun with those different facets of yourself and not be afraid to express and show your different sides to the world.
Right. For example, myself at 32, I know what I like, but I'm not too sure how to express it when it comes to fashion. But what you described for yourself, it sounds very defined. Like you really have to know yourself to be able to put an outfit together. And I'm glad that I know you because I know that we are going to work together so you can help me define what that
Yay.
is for me because I know, and even for like anybody listening to this, fashion, I think it's like you said, like you're the star of your show and you go out into the world and dress up. I like to visualize a lot. Launch your podcast in a day. That's right. I'll be your podcast sidekick and launch your podcast in one day. You've probably been pondering on being the host of your podcast for way too long. You probably even have a microphone collecting dust somewhere. Let's launch your podcast in a day. Go to yalicristina.com, select the Pod in a Day tab, and fill out the form. Let's release that gold mine of audio into the world. And I think that and like in my dreams I imagine myself like so glamorous and so gorgeous and very like in a all my clothes is tailored in my dreams. And I think that I was reading that it's sometimes like it's important to have your clothes tailored so that you always look like you're put together. And I wanted to know your take on that. Like, is that something that you recommend to all of your clients or just some of them?
Oh, yes, definitely. It's actually crazy that most ready to wear clothes that you just like buy off the rack, like they really don't fit us most of the time because we all have beautiful individual body types. And most brands really cater to the hourglass body type, which is like, everyone knows the hourglass body type, right? It tends to be kind of like this idealized beauty standard that it's not something that you could really lose weight for. Like sometimes it's just the way our bodies are, and really having that radical self-acceptance of, okay, like, whether no matter how I weigh, like, my body's never going to look like that.
Mhm.
Once we accept that and buy the clothes that fit us and go just that little bit of extra mile to make the clothes fit us, not the other way around where we feel like we have to fit into the clothes. We look in the mirror and we're like, "Damn, I look good." It's crazy what happens when we stop making it mean something is wrong with ourselves, but just rather that it's the clothes that need the adjustment. So, I always encourage it, especially if, like, you're maybe taller and you need, like, that extra fabric, or maybe if you're shorter like me and you need it all, like, hemmed, everything's, like, hemmed,
Mhm.
um, just having it fit the right way, it really helps.
Oh, okay, that's a good tip. And would you say, like, what is the most common body type that you style?
I wouldn't say that there's any one, like, common body type. I
Okay.
feel like everybody is unique. Some people have, like, straighter hips. Most people tend to be a combination of different body types, but I think that there are some arbitrary rules that we kind of put ourselves in, right? Where we're like, "Oh, because my body type is this, I have to wear this." When really you can break those kind of arbitrary rules at any time, and that most of the time they're kind of outdated, where it's like, oh, because I am someone who is struggling with body acceptance and feels like, oh, I have curvier hips and, like, I don't want my stomach to show, so I can't wear something that's, like, body conscious, even though that makes me happy. It's
Mm.
really working your way there to that body acceptance and really loving on yourself and allowing yourself and giving yourself permission to wear it because it makes you happy and it makes you feel beautiful.
And that's what I love about your services is that you help with the confidence aspect too, right?
Yes, yes,
Mhm.
definitely. And even though, styling and clothes is so much fun, it tends to be a more vulnerable process than I think people expect. Because, yes, it's like this really fun, glamorized thing, but there's so many stories there about why we wear what we wear, or especially about what we don't allow ourselves to wear.
Especially also, like, speaking of ages, I don't know if maybe I should dress for my age because I know I've seen in a lot of magazines where it
Mm-hmm.
says, like, oh, well, or even in style quizzes where they ask, well, how old are you? Even in society where they're like, oh, well, you're a mom, you probably shouldn't show your cleavage or you probably shouldn't show midriff. I've seen that more often lately than before, where I'd see like maybe a grandma just all covered up. But now you see grandmas with beautiful clothes and they just feel
Mm-hmm.
super glamorous. And like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
I love that. I personally think that it's such an outdated rule to be like, oh, you have to dress like your age. Once you hit, like, adulthood, it's just like you are free to choose that for yourself. Like, it's your body, it's however you want to embellish it, because you're the art, right? The clothes are just what's framing you, and you are the art. And it's fully up to you. And it's funny how we put a time limit where it's almost like we're putting conditions on our joy, where it's like we have to be a certain age in order to be allowed to enjoy something. And I just think that when we do that, it it does something to us, to our inner sparkly, like, self, right? Like, that kind of childlike part of ourselves that just wants to, enjoy life and feel that pleasure and be creative and express ourselves. Like, that part of ourselves starts to get ignored, and it's harder to listen to her, right? That inner child that just wants to play and enjoy just for the simple pleasure of it, right? When we put an age limit to that.
Right. It limits us and stops us from being ourselves and being free. Like the podcast.
Exactly, exactly. We want to keep being ourselves and being free. That doesn't have an age restriction at all.
Right. Yeah, I hope more people realize that. Do you have any style icons?
I do have some style icons.
Tell
I
me.
I absolutely love Shay Mitchell. I think she and everything she does is so amazing. She has this travel bag line that I have so many of her bags. It's base. She started out as an actress in Pretty Little Liars, and she became someone I really look up to even as a teenager because she was one of the first Filipina representations I ever saw on screen.
Whoa.
Yeah, like in American television.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So she's someone I really love, and her style, it's very like effortlessly cool, but she also has like some statement pieces in there. She has kind of like this chic kind of CEO vibe. And another style icon I have, I do love Zendaya's style, I have to say. I really like how she's daring and takes a lot of style risks with her stylist. Like they recreate a lot of, I would say, kind of like nostalgic looks with a really fun twist a lot of the time. And I really enjoy that. And I would say Audrey Hepburn.
Oh.
She's, to cite a very classic one, um, I just have always been drawn. It's more of like her essence, I would say, because I feel like style in itself is an expression of our essence. So sometimes I'm not necessarily always looking at the person's clothing at all times, but rather how they carry themselves and how they make me feel and how, ooh, I want to feel in their energy, if that makes sense. I have a very spiritual outlook on style, obviously.
No, it makes perfect sense. And she had such elegance.
Elegance, yes. I
Hmm.
love a good, elegant type of chic, but also dramatic statement making, boss bitch type of style.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
for
a
sure.
whole multitude.
If you could wear one designer the rest of your life, who would it be?
One designer. Wow. I would say Chanel.
Oh, nice.
Chanel. But I also, if we're talking like the big name designers, yeah, Chanel. But there's so many other designers that I found where they're like my go-to brands and just like places that I love shopping at, and I really love them. Like I have this one dress brand that I'm obsessed with, and I always come back to them. I don't know how they pronounce it. I think it's either Risa or Ressa.
Hmm.
I could live in some of their pieces for sure for the rest of my life, and Chanel probably.
Wow. I would really like to be able to buy something from Balenciaga.
Yes, yes, I could see that for you for sure. It's like very like vivacious.
Yeah, I really like their stuff. Very colorful.
I feel like it's like this yeah, it's like this the same joy for life that I feel like you radiate.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, of course.
And what is something that you would never wear?
Something I would never wear.
Yeah,
Hmm.
like
That's a
maybe lace, maybe pearls. I'm not sure. Maybe cork. No cork
cork.
shoes.
I actually really love, it's funny you say that. I actually really love lace, and I do really love pearls. When they're done kind of in a more modern take, I would say.
Mhm.
And something I would never wear. That is such a good question because I think I've been so open-minded to like my style changing, and I think that that's also really important that I tell my clients too, is to allow yourself to change because you're going to change. And like imagine if you never let your style change. Like if we were dressing and acting exactly who we were like 6 years ago, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, like that's just a sign of stagnation, right? And we're always meant to evolve. So I think that our style is meant to evolve with us. So your style is always going to change, maybe not hugely, but definitely incrementally. And I would say that I would never wear probably skater skirts because they
Oh.
kind of remind me of when I was in private school growing up. Like they remind me of that kind of like you have to wear a uniform vibe, and it kind of takes me back there.
Oh, it maybe like has like a negative energy, or maybe bad memories kind of.
Not necessarily like bad, but more so like feeling like I had to fit in because it was a uniform, and I was always trying to express myself. Even when I was in school, I would try to get as close to breaking the dress code as I could. Right? I would be like, okay, I would sometimes get stopped by teachers where they're like, is that allowed? Like, whether it be a sweater that wasn't standard, or I would do a lot of hair accessories. I had so many headbands. Like, this was during, and this is totally aging myself, but like, this is the Blair Waldorf era. So I was like, I probably had as many headbands as her. And I remember when I got over it and I stopped, my teacher, she was like, see me after class, right? And she asked me if there was something wrong because I had stopped wearing headbands.
So it was like your statement piece.
It was my thing. It was my thing for a while when I was in high school. It was so funny. I was like, nothing's wrong. I just changed my mind, right? It just wasn't my thing anymore. And now it was funny because I started wearing headbands once in a while. It's definitely not something I would never wear. But once I started wearing them again, it was like, friends and family who have known me a long time poking fun. They're like, oh, are we going back there?
That's funny. I like headbands, but I kind of have like a big head. They're always so tight and make me get a migraine.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I don't know how I did it. It's like squeezing, my temples. I didn't realize it.
Oh gosh. And have you ever had like an item that you didn't want to let go of that you probably have still for a long, long time that you hold dear to your heart?
Oh my gosh, yes, definitely. There is this purple leather jacket that my dad gave me for Christmas, which is like very, very rare because my love for fashion really originated with my mom. And she's to this day like my shopping buddy, like the person that I text like about outfit ideas and everything. It's how we bond. It's really like our love language since I could remember. And so my dad having given me this purple leather jacket, it was really special to me because I just was not expecting it. And he gave it to me for Christmas when I was in high school. It was an exact duplicate of this character that we watched on this TV show that we used to be obsessed with. It was like our thing. It was Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles. And
Hmm.
my favorite character, who is a Terminator, her thing was a purple leather jacket, and he got the exact one. And he said that it used to be Kim Kardashian's jacket, and he
Oh,
bought it like online. I think he found it on eBay or something, and I don't know if it really was Kim Kardashian's jacket at one point, but it was definitely an investment. It's like my dad's not someone to spend that much on clothing,
wow.
let alone ever pick out clothing for me. But because it had to do with our favorite show that we had been bonding over, and he did that for me, even though, I guess Kim Kardashian, if that really was her jacket, she's very tiny because it was an extra small, and I was an extra small at the time. Definitely not anymore.
Huh.
But I still just hold on to it because of that memory and how sentimental that was. And it just shows me it's like a symbol of my dad's like love and support, and that even if it's not his thing, he will support me and my passions, and that includes fashion.
That's so beautiful.
Thank
Hmm.
you.
It's so nice that he was paying attention and go out of his way to hunt it down. And if it really was, I mean, I'm sure that it was Kim's. Plus, you live in the area kind of like where she was also growing up. So I wouldn't doubt it that it probably did belong to her.
That's true. It was really during a time where she wasn't, the Kim Kardashian. It was when she was more like, I guess,
Paris
I mean, she
Hilton.
was famous, but yeah, she was like not as like famous, I would say, as she is now at the
Mhm.
time.
Okay. I wonder if it was probably when she was working for Paris Hilton
Yeah, maybe,
around that
maybe.
time. Yeah.
It was the like early 2000s ish.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I mean, that's awesome. Yeah, I would never let that go.
Yes, I have it in my closet. I just kind of like keep it all safe and like wrapped up, and prom dresses included. Like, those things could be stored and preserved. So that's why if you have sentimental pieces, like it could be preserved and stored in a way where you don't have to let go of it, but it also doesn't have to, clutter up your closet.
That's true. Because that's what I wanted to know too. Like, have you ever had a client that maybe you're helping edit their, I say edit because I'm a podcast editor, but like edit their closet? What would you call it?
That's a great word. I would say edit or declutter. Those are, yeah, edit is a
Oh,
great word for it.
okay, okay. Have you ever run across a client that perhaps didn't want to let go of a lot of things?
Yeah, there's times where that does happen. Most of the time, I feel like they are very open minded to getting rid of things. But yeah, there's definitely going to be some pieces that are hard to part with. But I think that it's important to take the client's readiness in account. I'm not the type of stylist that, even though I loved watching What Not to Wear growing up, um, I'm not the type of like stylist that's gonna be like, this is gone, like they do on that show, and they put everything in the trash, and the person's like, no, and they're it was definitely for entertainment value. But that's
Traumatized.
yeah, that's not my philosophy. It's all about readiness and honoring the client's comfort zone, because if I know that there's this narrative where we want to take massive action and we want to stretch and expand past our comfort zone, which is very important. And I agree that change really happens past the comfort zone. But I think when we pressure ourselves too much to go like way, way past it, sometimes it really demotivates us from even doing it, from even trying. And it makes the change also like not a long lasting one, because it doesn't feel honest or true to us, right? We want it to feel like a sustainable change too, which is why I always keep the client's comfort zone in mind too.
I love that. And I think that's what makes you unique about being a stylist coach is that because you have the confidence piece, you know that you can't just go into somebody's closet and rate it and throw everything in the trash. And I used to watch that show. I was listening to your podcast, and when you said that, oh, I like that show and I used to watch it, but I not like that. And it's important that you say that too, because I know that a lot of people probably like in my age group or our age group saw that show, and I used to
Mhm.
love watching it too. And I remember thinking like, oh, agreeing with them like, oh my god, yes, that has to go. And then in some parts when the client was crying, and I'm like, that
Mhm.
is traumatizing, you need to stop. Like, can you see you are making her suffer? And now they're it's giving the bad rep to the stylist, because now they think that if they hire one, they're going to be attacked and they're gonna lose everything, all they've ever wanted, like some style that they identified with. And now it's gonna be gone. And but I'm glad that you're not like that, because I know that, I mean, like for me, I'm open to throwing everything and anything because I do want a transformation. But you can't get rid of like a third of my closet or something. But it's good to know that it's okay if you want to keep half or a third of your closet, as long as you're open to trying new things.
Yes, exactly. It's that willingness, right? And if we're feeling dysregulated and our nervous system feels like it's shaken up because we're feeling like our boundaries are being crossed, or like, oh my God, like I'm being forced to do something I don't want to do, like that's just gonna snuff that willingness and openness to try things out, right? Where we don't want to feel like we're being put in a position where it's an act of I have to do this. Like I really want every client who works with me to feel like this is something I'm doing for myself. This is for my self-love. This is for my body acceptance, for me stepping into my power, whatever that may be. But it shouldn't be for anyone else, right? Including, whoever's telling you to get rid of a bunch of stuff, where when you're ready to get rid of it, you can, but also keeping in mind too that you can put it away in a storage box. That's another thing I always say is like, as long as it's not getting in the way of creating like a daily ritual of going to your closet and seeing what you can actually feasibly wear, that's what's important, as long as it's not getting in the way of that.
I know, like in my case, used to have a couple of items that I thought, well, I'm gonna fit back into this. I'm gonna fit back, especially in my early 20s. But then I realized, like, girl, you're never gonna be a size 3 again. You are now 5 and you need to accept it. Now I keep stuff because I'm like, oh, I wore it when I was in Spain, or I wore it when I went to
Mm-hmm.
this place. And it's like, it has like a mental attachment. But I'm glad that you also bring up that you can preserve your like your wedding gown, or your, in Latina culture, the quinceañera dress.
Yes, it's funny you mentioned that because in Filipino culture,
Hmm.
we have something similar, but it's called a debut, like a 18th birthday, not a 15th.
Okay.
So I had my own type of kind of quinceanera, but when I was 18,
Hmm.
and I had a dress like specially made for it. Of course, it was lavender,
Of
like my
course.
branding. Of course.
Hmm.
I will probably never fit into that dress ever again, like my 18-year-old self. It's stored away and it's a special dress to me.
Nice. Yeah, and then would you ever, like, if you have a daughter, would you ever let her wear it?
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes.
Yes.
Of course.
Oh,
If
that's
she
so
likes lavender as much as me.
good. She probably would. And taking you back to your childhood, I wanted to ask, did you ever raid your mom's closet?
Oh my gosh, as much as I could. Yes. I actually would do kind of an interesting thing where I was inspired by what not to wear when I was younger. And this was around when I was like probably around 7 or 8 years old. And I would help my mom pick an outfit like every day. And I would have her like try to pick it herself first. And then I would edit what she did and I would grade what she put together. Like I was giving her a grade. Tell me you're a Capricorn rising without telling me you're a Capricorn rising, right? My mom's just like, okay, like this girl coming in here grading my outfits, telling me what to wear. She was probably like, I created a tiny monster.
Oh my
But when I was, yeah, I would still always go in her closet and try to, borrow things. I would borrow jewelry. Even to this day, I still borrow jewelry from my mom or an accessory here and there. Um, we don't have the same shoe size, which might be for the best because we would probably have a lot of missing shoes on both sides.
God. That's all awesome. Right. Yeah, my mom and I, it's funny because it's funny when you become a mom, your body changes. I mean, I know that yes, your belly grows and such, but there's a myth that your foot decreases in size. And I didn't believe that. But my mother and I were the size 8. And then I had my son, and then my foot went to 7.5. And then about 2 years ago, I am now a 7, which is super strange. But
Wow, it decreases. I don't know if I heard it wrong, but I've heard that your foot size increases.
well, maybe it should, but I went the other way. But that's the only reason why my mother and I, because we used to share shoes until I had my son 11 years ago. And then she was like, "Hey, I cannot borrow your shoes anymore." I'm like, "I know, I can't borrow your shoes anymore." Because she's still an 8.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I never heard of that happening the opposite way.
Wow. Yeah, and I used to eat my mom's lipsticks, and my favorite was the Estee Lauder ones. Those were the tastiest.
Oh my gosh. No way. That's so funny.
She would get so pissed.
Yeah, she's like that is like a very high-end meal.
Right? Right. Yes. Good snack. Don't do that, guys. Please. I am not recommending for you to eat any makeup. Okay. We are not endorsing this here.
Disclaimer.
Disclaimer. Yes. Okay. If you had your own version of the show, What Not to Wear, one,
Mm.
what would be the name?
Oh my gosh, 1000% dressed to manifest.
Ah, like your podcast.
Like my podcast. And it's funny that name really came to me. And it's weird. A lot of my ideas really do come to me in the middle of the night. Even sometimes I'll wake up around 3 a.m. and I'll just have like an idea and I'll write it on my phone and then I'll fall back asleep. Or if I'm just still wide awake because I tend to be more of a night owl,
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, it's crazy when it strikes. And I had that idea. It was like one of my 3 a.m. ideas And I knew that I had to use it. And it just came like a phrase. Like it's like I almost heard it in my own mind. Dress to manifest.
Wow.
And I didn't know where it would live. I was like trying to figure out, okay, what offer should I name it? But nothing ever felt right until I started the podcast. And I realized this is the project that it's really been waiting for. And it's because it captures my philosophy around style, I think, really well, where it mixes the style, yes, and the spirituality, where we're really dressing to manifest our best life, to be our best selves. And I like that it's a different take on the normal saying, like dress to impress,
Hmm.
because I always tell my clients this, it's not for anyone else but you. It's
Hmm.
more for yourself, right? So that's why I would probably name the show the same thing, because it really it captures my view of it all, my perspective and my heart.
Yeah, and it's such a lovely take on it because it's just different. I don't think there's anybody else out there that does it the way that you do, including astrology and including the client in the process, because you're not saying like, here's the mold and I'm gonna make you fit into it because this is what I think it should be.
Yes, definitely not, because it's just not a loving or compassionate way to go about it. When style is so personal, right? And it's it's like we're not a plug and play Canva template, right? We're human beings where we get just like this plus this equals that. We all have our unique lived experiences, our unique preferences in style, and also just our own, very individual essence and perspectives. And we want to honor all of that in our self expression, because it's going to vary from person to person. And of course, you're going to resonate with someone's style and energy more than others. And it's like, use it as a foundation to inspire you and to learn more about yourself. And it's, I think, just a really fun way to create a almost like a friendship with yourself.
Hmm. Yeah. And do you have an offer for the listeners of Be Yourself, Be Free, or a service that you would like to highlight on the show today?
Yes, I'd love to highlight my new offer, which is Star Align Style Readings. This is my newest one, and it is very different. It is a birth chart reading for your personal style. So we could figure out how to harness the unique energies in your birth chart into your style and figure out what aesthetic really is true to you and all of your different magical layers, right? And I'm amending it because I've been doing some calls now, and I've had two amazing readings so far to my privately launched waitlist. And they're tending to be longer than expected because there's just so much fun to unpack. So I'm changing it from a 60-minute reading to a 90-minute reading.
Hmm.
You get a custom mood board created just for you based off of your birth chart. And you also get a divine card pull at the end, where I get my little oracle cards, I shuffle them, I get some messages for you, divinely meant for you.
Wow. That is so unique. That's so awesome. And I can't wait to get mine. Because I know I said I was gonna do it and it's now November 2nd. You were releasing this month, right?
Yes, I privately launched it the end of last month. And then I'm actually publicly launching it this Friday, November 5th. And I did not plan it around it being the Scorpio new moon, which is on Thursday. But it turned out that way. So that's kind of funny.
Wow, incredible. That's so good. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I'm so happy that you came onto the show. Where can everybody find you? I know, well, you guys can listen to her podcast. Once again, search for Dress to Manifest and the host, Ariel Britney. And where would you like them to connect with you? Your website or Instagram?
Yeah, I have my website at www.arielbritney.com. That's Ariel, like the mermaid. Britney is Britney, like Britney Spears. I always say that. Just easier to get the spelling. And my Instagram handle is at ariel.britney Would love to hear from you. And thank you so much for having me on this podcast with you. I feel like it's full circle because you helped me with my podcast, and we just vibe with each other so much that it's always such a pleasure talking with you.
Yeah, likewise. I really liked working with you and helping you with your podcast. You're such a pleasure to work with. And it's been so fun listening to your podcast. And I have the notifications on.
Oh my
So
god.
I always get the message, and also the newsletter. Guys, the newsletter is very impressive, very polished, just like you. Branding on point. I love receiving and reading them. And but yeah, the episodes also, they're magnificent. You guys are doing a great job over there.
Thank you so much, Christina. That means so much to me.
That's it for this week's episode. Thank you for tuning in. Please connect with me on Instagram at Be Yourself, Be Free Podcast, and share this podcast with one of your friends. And don't forget to be yourself and be free.